Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We are super excited to launch a new webcast. We're going to tell you all about it. But first, let me tell you the title: Advancing Angelo, Stories of Economic Growth and Success. I mean, that says a lot. I've got three wonderful gentlemen here with me now. We got to introduce everybody to the crowd. Michael, you start.
Thanks, Sonora. I'm Michael Looney. I'm the Vice President of Economic Development for the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce.
Perfect.
Gabe Hughes, General Counsel at Principal Industries.
Yeah, I'm Brian Vincent. I'm one of the founders and owners at Principal Industries, and an entrepreneur, and glad to be here.
Many titles.
No, not actually.
Well, fantastic. Okay, so we got to tell you a little bit about the webcast itself. So we're going to be partnering, of course, with Michael Looney and Mike Berry, who's watching us now. He may not be on air with us right now, but he's going to be here. And it's basically stories from companies who have worked with KOSA DC, the Chamber, of course, Economic Development, and the city to really expand and, make San Angelo their home and set up, really their future here. So we were very excited about this. Yeah. Michael, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Well, there's a lot to talk about. It's interesting because, and I really appreciate this format, and I think it's important for us as a community, especially San Angelo. We're an emerging market, which means San Angelo is not going to look like it does in 5 and in 10 years. It's going to continue to grow and thrive.
Yeah.
It has all of the key components in place as a community to set itself up to be a major player in the North American economy. Mm-hmm. And it's already vectoring that way, but it's going to continue to go in that direction. And so it's worthy to talk about the industrial economic side of our community. If you boil it down, the industrial platform of the San Angelo economic ecosystem is really that which supports the entire community. And that doesn't diminish any of the importance of those things that add to our culture, institutions of education, churches, mm-hmm. and different aspects of our community, which give our community the texture and fabric that most San Angeloans absolutely love. But the way I like to phrase it is the industrial segment of our economy is really, to use a maritime example, kind of like it's the people in the engine room below the waterline.
Yeah.
And that means it's not the flashy, culturally significant aspects of our community. It's those who are running what effectively is the export segment of our economy that brings fresh capital into our economic ecosystem. And so it's good to have this forum and to be able to talk about it. And I think it'll be illuminating when viewers hear more about the depth and the horsepower of our industrial segment, our industrial platform for our economic ecosystem.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's so many things, like you said, that really work together. And you speaking of working together, how do y'all work together? All these agencies, Economic Development Chamber, the city, all partnering to really achieve a goal.
Sure. If you think about it, you've got economic development at the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce has existed officially in San Angelo since 1916, although we have record books that go back to 1906. And so there's always been a keen interest by the San Angelo leadership throughout the decades to prop up and to support the economic platform of the region, whether that's based on industrial manufacturing, transportation, logistics, shipping, and agriculture. That can also offshoot into other areas that are a little more specialized, like being home to a Department of Defense Center of Excellence, Goodfellow Air Force Base. But it's actually not that difficult as long as everybody communicates together and are all pulling on the rope, so to speak, in the same direction. So we have partners at the city's development corporation. That's an organization with a pretty long initials. It's KOSA DC, which is the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, which is which is a department of the city. It's actually technically a standalone corporation. It's not technically part of the city, but it functions as a department of the city to help conduct economic development initiatives from concept to fruition and then beyond to full sustainment. But we have partners with private industry. We have an organization that we established in 2016. You mentioned Mike Berry. Mike Berry is my partner at the Chamber of Commerce, but before that, he was one of the directors at Ethicon Johnson & Johnson. And so he taught me a lot about process engineering, and logistics and management of a very large international manufacturing facility. And with that, we started an organization known as the SARMA, the San Angelo Regional Manufacturers Alliance, which gives us a platform upon which we can build relationships with industry. You also have Howard College, Angelo State University, San Angelo Independent School District, private high schools and middle schools throughout the region. Not to mention you've got other state agencies and city agencies that we work with very closely. So having an open channel, a hotline system of communication has been really instrumental. And I want to add one more thing. You make a really interesting point. Anecdotally, and a lot of times you can get a lot of wisdom from just not necessarily data, but from anecdotal comments. A lot of the companies that we've dealt with, whether they're companies that are incumbent, that are here, that are expanding, like Principal Industries, or like, for example, say a company we recruited that's headquartered in Germany called Rosenberger, which is an electronics manufacturing company. They moved an entire factory from Eastern Pennsylvania to San Angelo last year, have remarked about how the cohesiveness between city, county commissioners, county judge, SAISD, Howard College, ASU, President Hawkins, his staff, engineering department, Chamber of Commerce, COSA-DC, mayor's office, all congeal and work together to where that product, if you will, is delivered to industry seamlessly and efficiently, which provides a tremendous amount of confidence for these companies like Principal Industries to make very expensive, high-risk strategic decisions. But they understand that they've got this entire cohort of different support organizations and personnel that will support them.
Exactly. Well, guys, I want to bring y'all in, Brian and Gabe. So, of course, we know San Angelo is amazing, right?
Of course.
But why choose San Angelo? How did y'all get started here?
My brother and I, Blake, when we started the company, we had another company prior to this. And I think someone told me you can't start a technology company in San Angelo, Texas, which, for me, I have a little bit of a rebellious streak. So I decided, I don't believe that. And so, no, but we came back here. It was home for us.
Okay.
We love the community. I knew what value this community had. I knew the kind of people that were here from work ethic to the way they approach life. And so we just made the decision to get started here. We started Principal in 2010, and I think we were in a part of what used to be the Gandy Inc. building, built the old Northern Road. Yeah. And we were in that little part that used to be a dog grooming facility. I think it was like 1,000 square feet, and we had a shed in the back. Literally, that's how we started the company, and just had a lot of support from local banks, the city, COSA-DC, to kind of help us expand over time.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, you mentioned some of the benefits, but what are, from, the entrepreneur, the business standpoint, what are some of the benefits for just doing business in San Angelo?
Yeah, first of all, we don't have interstates. We have great transportation in and out where we're located physically in the country. We can literally ship product, freight, almost anywhere in the country in a pretty short period of time, either on the West Coast or the East Coast. We also have, just a lot of resources in terms of access to good people, whether it be from Angelo State, from Howard College, and also the employees can get to work quickly. We don't have to deal with traffic. We don't have to deal with some of those things that you have to in a bigger market. So San Angelo is really a pretty easy place to do business overall. So, yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, so let's go back a little bit, because some people may recognize you as Principal LED, but let's kind of go over, your expansion recently, your acquisition.
Yeah, so we've done most of our growth has been organic. I mean, we grew from, 3 or 4 of us to now I know we have about 150 employees here in San Angelo. And, when you look at Europe and, throughout North America, we've got maybe, I don't know, another 20 or 25. So we've got a pretty big staff that we've grown. And a lot of it was organic, but we did do some small acquisitions along the way. We bought a software company. But the big acquisition we did was one of our competitors that we were probably our second biggest competitor out of Ventura, California, called Sloan LED. And so when we combined those two organizations, it really essentially doubled the size of our business.
Wow.
So, and there was a lot of relocation. There were a lot of consolidation and addition to staff here in San Angelo, which, it doesn't make sense to have 2 big facilities in different areas. So we were able to consolidate that. Also, bring a lot of jobs to San Angelo, create opportunities. And so that was a big one. And then another one kind of fell into our lap, kind of really just happened to work out this way. It wasn't an intended acquisition, but one of our distributors was acquired by another distributor, and we ended up acquiring their LED line, which was kind of the one of the other larger LED product manufacturers in our market. So for us, if you don't know, I mean, our primary market with Principal LED when we started was we manufacture basically the electronic components that go into an illuminated sign. So that's how we started. So if you think about a sign that just says, Subway, or, the guts that go inside those, it's actually a very interesting business because every sign's different and it's kind of a custom industry. So we have a range of products. We sell through about 150 distribution locations in North America. So we really don't sell anything here. We sell to distributors that are specific for the sign supply market. But we've really expanded beyond that. We do a lot of interesting, part of our focus is helping sign makers and fabricators go from the sign to the building. So we've created a kind of an architectural market for things like linear and border products. Try to think, we do a lot of RGB stuff now for specialty illumination. We do some interesting projects like, Allegiant Stadium, which is where the Raiders play. We did the signage and the channel letters and the exterior of the building. You probably saw that at the Super Bowl.
Oh, so we actually have a picture. I was going to show that. So cool. Tell us more about that, because that's amazing.
Yeah. So the channel letters on the top, some of the lighting and architectural features in the front. You don't really have a scale for that. And I can't tell you how big those are, but I do know we do like some of the LEDs in like a Bucky sign. You think about that circle at the top, and it's like, you look at it, you don't really realize. I mean, you think it has like 40,000 LEDs in it because little modules, because it's 30 feet or 25 feet around, but you don't get a scale for it until you. So we did that project. We've done a lot of other pro stadiums, Kyle Field, which I'm an A&M alumni, so I was happy to do that one. But a lot of stuff, a lot of those that we point to. Yeah. But our bread and butter business, and we grew our business servicing and caring for small to mid-sized sign shops. And, now it's expanded. We have a software product. We've got an IoT device that we're releasing, and just a range of things to reskin buildings. And primarily we service retail, petroleum is a big piece. So if you see any of the gas canopies that are kind of washed or lit in different ways, a lot of those are our products. Banking, automotive, so a whole range of industries that we serve.
We're just going to all go around looking at everybody's lights now.
It's a curse. I drive everywhere looking at signs, and it's kind of.
That is awesome. Yeah. So something interesting that, when I was listening to you, it kind of seems like, things just kept going and you kept saying yes to opportunities. Is that, something that it sounds like you kind of had a plan and then it, went on different places?
Yeah. So every entrepreneur will lie and they will say, I had a plan from the beginning and look where I am. And this is exactly the way I thought it was going to go. And and honestly, it's sometimes easier to tell it that way. But the reality is, you do the right things. You do the right things by your employees, by people, and opportunities come up. And when they do, you can take a choice to walk through that door.
Yeah.
And if you go to the next one and it's not open, you don't bloody your head trying to beat your way through it. And you just, so we've had we've made some really good strategic decisions in the process. But when we started, we had no plans to be the largest global supplier of, LED lighting and electrical components to the sign industry. That was not, we never expected that. So
is that what you just go out around and say to the haters, like, hey, guess what?
No. I mean, we don't. Yeah, you're talking about the. No, we don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because we did do it here in San Angelo, and it's interesting because I'm so proud when we bring in customers. We bring in a lot of customers, which is also part of economic development. We have a lot of employees coming in and out of here, customers coming in and out of San Angelo, but they always go through our facility. And I'm so excited to show them our systems for fulfillment, our software for doing engineering takeoffs that we provide, all of our R&D facilities, investments we've made in engineering. And I get through the tour, and every time they say, I'm so amazed. And I'm like, really? Well, thank you. And they say, you have the best people. It's always goes back to that. And I think if you think about what's the most critical part of how we grew, and a lot of people say that, but I mean, the reality is we couldn't do this without our people, and that includes some of our other partners, like our distributor partners, et cetera. But we have something unique about San Angelo is we just have fantastic people.
So playing off that unique thing, something else that we got to talk about is the utilization of the Second Chance program.
Yeah. So
Tell
we
us
didn't
about that.
Yeah, and maybe Gabe can talk a little bit about that too. But we didn't call it that. I think it's been sort of coined that. But I'm a recovered alcoholic, so it was important to me, and I know how much help I had when I was going through that, and knowing that this wasn't something I woke up one day and said, hey, I want this to happen to me.
Yeah.
And so we found an opportunity through that community to start hiring some people. And we found that some of our best employees, some of the ones who have made the biggest difference in our company, are people that needed that second chance.
Right.
So,
we noticed that too when we were touring the facility with Connor. When you're just a solid guy that you have.
Yep.
And we were touring the new expansion space up in Chaparral Industrial Center. We hadn't seen it. We saw it when it was an empty space. We didn't see it when it was fully inhabited with all the gear. It looked like you guys had been there for years, and I think you'd been there for 3 weeks. And Connor took us around, and we were introducing ourselves to some of the folks on the line, technicians, and we were noticing that they were from all over the country. A guy from Tucson, a guy from Tulsa, a couple guys from Houston, a lady from some other part of the country, and it seemed interesting enough to us to start asking, how did you get here? Were you a part of the acquisition? They said, well, not really. We were more acquired as individuals by Principal Industries, and they started telling us their story, and it was very touching. And my impression when I was meeting one of the guys from Houston who'd been raised in very, very, very traumatic circumstances as a youngster, and he was not ashamed of telling us his story. He didn't give us a whole lot of detail because we didn't have a lot of time with him, but the pride with which he had for the company and the industrial sector, his knowledge of the equipment, his knowledge of the mechanisms that made the equipment work, and where its destination was and what it was going to be used. I think it was Shell Oil. I mean, he knew all about its destination point and rate of manufacture per hour. It was absolutely awesome. And I thought, this guy's not just doing a job. He's not just collecting a paycheck. This guy's into it.
Well,
this is leadership grooming is what we see here. And he explained
always have a sleep in your car test. So if you're willing to sleep in your car for 2 days to come work for us, we'll hire you. And no, really, because we want people that are committed. It's different to have a dedicated employee, but when you have a purpose as an organization, people become committed, and that's what has made a huge difference. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
It
is important, and Mike Berry and I were driving back, moved by what we'd experienced, Because a lot of what we experience is very data driven.
Right.
It's supply chain driven. It's kind of dry stuff, frankly. But that was really touching, and we remarked to each other, that's the business, the families, the pride, the purpose. That's the business.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I'll hop in here a little bit too, because so I knew Brian and Blake back in 2013, and I believe we had 7 employees.
Many.
And so I struggled with addiction and alcoholism for years, and at that time things were pretty dark. And so Brian was actually helping me. It's what we call a sponsor, so we're in a 12-step program. And so Brian was trying to help me, and I was in a pretty bad place. And I remember they offered me a job at one point, and I was trying to take the bar exam. I graduated law school, but I was in such a bad place I couldn't sit and actually finish an entire bar exam.
Wow.
So it was pretty tough for me. And so Brian was trying to help me, and like I said, there were 7 employees, and I ended up going to the penitentiary, and I spent 4.5 years there. And when I got back out, Brian reached out to me, and he stayed in touch with me while I was there too, and he was a support network. And so Brian, being an alcoholic, understands this disease.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stigma with this, and it's a hard disease to understand because it is inherently a disease of selfishness. We consume everything, and we hurt the people we love the most. And that's what people don't understand about this. It's not cancer. It is something that actually impacts the people that we love, and oftentimes they're hurting more than we're hurt. And I got to a place where death was a mercy for my parents and my family. I mean, I was dragging them through the absolute worst place they could ever go.
So from a technical standpoint, you were unable at that point in your life to focus on what 5-hour exam, the bar exam.
2 days.
Two days. So it's in segments.
Wow.
Because of anxieties.
Couldn't stay sober.
What's that?
Couldn't stay sober.
Yeah.
And so when I went to prison, I had an incredible experience there, and I was sober the entire time I was there. So I've been sober for almost 10 years now, 10 years in jail.
Wow.
And when I got back out, Brian understood that he knew the things I was doing on the inside. I was working with other people. I was spending time with other alcoholics and addicts, trying to give them the help that had been given so freely to me. And I'm going to be honest with you, and Brian can tell you this too, this was not a popular decision. But Brian understood this disease. Yeah. And so, he had to sell it.
Yeah. Someone in HR, I think, said you've lost your mind.
More than one person said that. And but Brian smoothed things out, and I was hired on. I started putting lights on a stick at $10 an hour, and I was grateful for that. I was just grateful for the opportunity to have a job, for someone to give me a second chance.
Yeah.
And, I slowly worked myself up, and it's been such an absolute blessing, because that's the kind of stuff that we're looking for when we're hiring employees. People look at their background and they say, well, this is a horrible background. Okay, well, let's look at the nuances here. When was the last time they had a drink? And because of our connections here, I'm on the board of ADEC. Brian and I spent a lot of time working with ADEC. Shannon, we have a lot of connections there with SAPD. I'm in a Bible study with Travis Griffith and a bunch of other members of San Angelo Police Department and DPS and Customs. And so we have these resources at our fingertips that we can work with. Probation, parole, we've got resources there. We can talk to them, and they want to help. They do. And so we can leverage those resources. And when we're looking at this, okay, well, the number one thing I'm looking for is, are you spending time working with other people? Because if this is a disease of selfishness, I want to see that you're spending that other time like we have in our lives, because you're going to make it about something else. And it's a broader vision. That's our purpose, is to spend time and give other people a second chance, just like was freely given to us. And that's it's just been an absolute blessing.
And if you do the right thing, Sonora, if you do the right thing, and you can't fake caring, but when you care and you do the right thing, great things happen for your company. But, for me, it's not about profits. That's not our number one focus. It's important. That's how we run a healthy business. But to be able to provide, I think one of the most dignifying things a business owner can do is to provide a job to someone that they can take care of their family. So, for me, I think about all the people that are impacted, children, spouses, that are being supported by jobs that we provide. And, it's really it's a blessing to do that, but we take it very seriously, because we want to support our employees. And so we've just been very fortunate.
Yeah.
I think someone along the way joked a while back. They said, well, there's nothing really illustrious about what we do. We sell lights that we put into boxes. I mean, Allegiant Stadium's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
I don't believe in coincidences. And certainly don't believe it was a coincidence that my first job out of prison and the job that I've been at for 5 years now is a lighting company. That we physically dispel darkness, eliminate darkness.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
spiritually, internally, we get to do that with our employees. We get to do that with our community. And if we focus on the latter, based on 10 years of experience, evidenced by events in my life, I know that we will be wildly successful in the former.
And by the way, he has passed the bar exam and he has been granted a law license, which is absolutely insane.
That's fabulous.
That is not easy to do.
No.
Yeah.
Not when you have
American Bar Association is very strict on how many licensees they allow into the marketplace on an annualized basis. If ever you've taken the LSAT, you'll learn that really quickly. I don't think I understood half of it. But one thing I'd like to explore, if I may, for a minute, something you guys have touched on that I've seen in my life, in my career. In Austin, Texas, for 19 years, I was in the commercial real estate development business, which is very similar to what I do now. And then in San Angelo for nearly 10 years as the economic development VP at the chamber, I've seen and gotten to know a lot of people who have struggled with addiction, yet they're very high performing individuals, very high level. And over the past couple of years of thinking about it, I've noticed that it seems like that's a recurring theme where you get people whose minds are on fire all the time to the point where they almost can't even shut it off. And that can have a spillover effect from good business, good family management, good friendship and family management to addiction. And I've seen that. It's an interesting observation, and I'm not saying that I'm an interesting person, but I've been interested in that observation to where I've seen that recurring theme over and over again.
Yeah, and there is some of that for sure, but I would say, the disease of addiction and alcoholism is pretty non-discretionary. It doesn't matter whether you're male, female, what your race is, but there is a genetic component to it. So, but you're right. We do see a lot of people in recovery that are really intelligent, and that's kind of a little of our secret sauce. Don't give that away, because we find really good people that people overlook. I mean, and so it's cool.
To judge by the background rather.
Yeah. And everybody needs a second chance.
Yeah.
No one does this in this world alone. And, I had a lot of people. Everyone wants to believe that an entrepreneur is someone that is self-made and did all this. That's not true. I mean, I had tremendous amount of support and help over the years in my personal life and in my business life.
Well, I think, too, something that I think goes along with this, I think people that struggle with addiction and alcoholism, deep down inside, inherently are looking for purpose.
Yeah.
I think everybody is, but we do it to a degree where we start we start filling a void with chemicals and alcohol, because we're trying to find something that we don't know where to look. And that's what the beautiful thing about people that are in recovery is, they come and they show us what that purpose is. And that purpose, I can chase drugs and alcohol and money and whatever it is, whatever your addiction, wherever your proclivities may lead you to. But I can tell you that there is absolutely nothing greater than sitting one-on-one with another alcoholic or addict, watching the light turn on and watching families get restored. Children come back that the state of Texas said they'll never see again, because God just doesn't give a hoot about paper or man-made legislation. And I'm giving one of my guys, and I get to do this. This is what's great. On Monday, he was an employee of ours, and I've worked with him. I'm giving him his 1-year chip. And he's just an absolute pleasure to be around. He's such a fun guy. And with addiction, you absolutely get the worst of people. You do. But when you get them connected, you get the absolute best of them.
Yeah.
Guys, this was a fabulous conversation. I cannot wait for the rest of this series because we're going to bring on more businesses to showcase and just, you know, something that I've noticed, y'all aren't profit driven, you're purpose driven.
That's right.
And I think we're going to see a lot of the businesses on here on this segment with that same mindset. So guys, thanks so much for coming and joining us and sharing your story. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Michael, any final words?
Kind of riffing off of what Gabe and Brian have just said. About 4 years into my career in San Angelo, we had had the pleasure of working with a company called Dragon Industries out of Beaumont, Texas, which ended up buying the old NOV facility, big steel fabrication facility. And I was an HEB grocery store. And a lady came up to me. I didn't know her. She had 2 kids with her. And she said, "Thank you." And I didn't know who she was. I don't to this day know who she was. And she patted me on the arm and she said, "Thank you." I said, "Well, for what? What did I do? Or who do you think I am?" You know, I think she had me confused. She said, "My husband used to work for NOV and he lost his job. And he's a very skilled fabricator. And he just got rehired by Dragon Industries for more money than he was making and more responsibility and more ability to be creative."
Wow.
That's tough.
And when I looked at her and looked at those 2 little kids, I thought that is why I am here.
Yeah.
It isn't about the deal. It's about those children right there whose father has purpose and focus and drive and dignity.
Cool.
And that right there, that's why. And I called my dad and I said, "You're not gonna believe what happened. I now know why I'm here."
Yeah.
And that's it.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
And that's the San Angelo spirit.
It is. It is. And we're going to see a lot more of that, like I said, on this series. So guys, thanks again for joining us. And thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.